Most of you listening to this podcast are most likely throwing on the wheel, and that is the thing that you like to do with your pottery. But I bet you at some point or at some level you might have hit a wall where your wheel throwing pottery just kind of is hitting that wall and you don't know what to do to make it look a little bit better. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about 5 ways that you can spice up your wheel thrown pottery. So number 1 is to alter your pots. Why do I say number 1 is to alter your pots? Because this is the easiest thing that you can do to start spicing up your wheel thrown pottery. So altering your pots doesn't have to be hard because you could literally do anything you want to alter your pots. You could headbutt your pots. I've seen people headbutt their pots. I've seen people punch their pot and just alter it in a different way. You can make dimples. You can make little bumps. It doesn't matter what you do to alter it. But this is probably the easiest thing that you can do to start spicing up your wheel thrown pottery. The simplest thing that you can do is the easiest thing you do. Just one tip if you are going to go down this route is to don't alter your pottery when it's super like right after you just throw the pot. Wait a little bit until it stiffens up and then you can start altering it because then the clay starts sticking to the tools or whatever you're doing. It makes it a little bit more difficult to alter the pot. So like wait a little bit, maybe like an hour, like 30 minutes, and just then you could hop in and then alter it later. Number 2 is carving or sgraffito. So I feel like carving or sgraffito is also another easy thing to do, but it's also something that most potters at least try to experiment with. I feel like I know I experimented with it myself, but I feel like this is something that most potters try to end up doing anyways to their pottery. But I think it's a very easy thing to get into. You can be sgraffitoing and carving literally anything you want. You can carve just straight lines and have patterns of just straight lines. You can have sgraffito designs where you're making mountains or maybe you're making a dog, whatever it is. This is a very simple and easy thing that you can do to start spicing up your wheel thrown pottery. It's very easy to do. You can literally just take some slip or some underglazes, apply it to the pot, then you can start carving away, like whatever you want to do. It's very easy to do. It doesn't take that many resources. You can literally have a plastic knife and you can start doing it today, tomorrow, whenever you want. Just if you are going to go down this route, make sure the pot is leather hard because anything less than leather hard is not going to work. It's just the clay is going to smudge too much. And then if it's too hard, you're not going to be able to carve it through. So make sure the clay is leather hard, and that is tip number 2. So the first thing I said was to alter your pots. Second thing is to sgraffito. And finally, the third thing that you can do is add sculptures to your pots. So what do I mean by adding sculptures to your pots? Sculpture sculpture building is a little bit different. It's a little bit harder to do compared to the first 2 things that I said. But if you can do it, your pottery, your wheel thrown pottery can look really, really cool with it. So here is an easy thing that you can start doing. So I've seen a lot of people, they make flower mugs, they maybe do sgraffito carving flowers. And that is a very simple thing, simple design. But I've also seen people where they add flowers, like sculptured flowers, onto their mugs, and it looks really, really amazing. You can do that with pretty much anything you want out of sculpture. So like if your interest is cars, you could start car or sculpturing cars onto your pottery. And it's a very fun exercise to make your wheel thrown pottery stand out just that much more and make it have that much more personality by adding some sculpture pieces into the vase, the mug, whatever you are making. It's a very fun thing to do if you want to go down that route. Again, you probably want to make sure that your clay is at least leather hard when you are attaching these sculpture pieces onto there. So here is number 4. So number 4, learn to throw better. Learn to throw better. This is this can be the hardest thing that you can do, or it can be the easiest thing you can do. Whatever it is, it just depends on what you're trying to learn to throw better. Are you trying to learn to alter your pots better? Are you trying to learn to throw thinner? Are you trying to learn to throw taller? Whatever it is, you can learn to throw better. And in doing so, you're gonna have a little bit more fun. You're gonna have your pottery's gonna look a little bit more better. Your wheel thrown pots are gonna look better. And simply by just by learning to throw better, you're gonna push your skills a little bit further out than compared to where they were. Maybe right now you're making, let's say, you take a 2 pound ball of clay, and all you can make is about 4 or 5 inches, which is fine. We all have that cap where we can only throw so much, especially in the beginning stages. So what if instead you learn how to throw 1.5 pounds and try to get that to 4 inches or 5 inches, or take that 2 pound ball and you get that to 6 inches. You maybe just a 1 inch, right? The improvement doesn't have to be like so dramatic. Just make it. It just improve your pottery and how you're throwing it, however way you want. If you want to start learning how to throw taller, that's improving your wheel throwing skills as well. I went through that myself. I used to throw nothing but mugs, so little small mugs all the time. And then one day I was like, I think I want to start learning how to throw taller. And then when I hopped on the wheel, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. Like I knew how to throw, but I didn't know how to throw tall. And so I studied that, and because I learned how to throw tall, my skills, my pottery skills grew exponentially because of that. And I started making these really cool vases, these tall vases. And if you want to go down that route, it can be either the hardest thing or the easiest thing that you can do, but just try to improve something with the rhythm pots. So here is a little recap to before I get into the last thing. So the number one is to alter your pots. Number two is to add carvings slash graffito designs. Number three is to add sculptures to your pots. Four is to learn to throw better. Finally, the last and final thing is combine all these things I talked about together. You can do everything that I just talked about and combine it into one cohesive unit. You don't have to stick to just wheel throwing. You don't have to stick to just doing sgraffito on your wheel throwing pots. You can combine everything together if you want to. And not only that, your pot will probably stand out so much more because you are combining all these different techniques together. And that will push your pottery really far. So, those were 5 things that you could do to improve your wheel throwing. Number one was alter your pots. Number two was add carving slash graffito. Number three was add sculptures to your pots. Number four was learn to throw better. Finally, five is just to combine everything together. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next time.